Hello and welcome everybody, I'm Bavarian and I am here with a very special video today. The team behind the Elder Kings 2 mod for CK3 has sent me their current progress and has given me permission to give you a great amount of insight on where they are standing, and by the 8 divines. Before we jump in, I really want to say that this mod is progressing incredibly nicely. Make sure to go check out their Discord if you got any input or questions, because the community there is incredibly friendly. The link is, as always, in the description. Now I want to mention just one last thing before we get to the meat of this video. Are you a 2D or 3D artist? If your response to this question is yes, then please, I beg of you, join the Elder Kings 2 team. Now obviously there is already a lot of artistry going on in the mod, but there is a lot more that has to follow. So please, if you want to be a part of one of the true masterpieces of CK3, make sure to contact the dev team. And with all of that out of the way, let's immediately jump in and talk about the geography of Tamriel. You probably can already tell that the terrain sculptors of the mod are literal gods. Especially the shots in Skyrim will probably make you feel right at home if you have played Skyrim or Elder Scrolls Online. The map as a whole has seen a revamp, as it is no longer squished in the way that it was in Elder Kings 1. It becomes especially visible over here in the Telvanni area of Morrowind. Not only is there so much more detail as a whole, but the actual arm of the landmass is now much more faithful to its canon depiction. The team has reworked the entirety of Tamriel, and it is safe to say that this is the most detailed map of the continent that we have ever seen. By Azora, just look at this beauty. As you can see, the province mapping is also progressing nicely, and at the time of this video, although this is not in my mod version, all of Vvardenfell has been filled with provinces as well. But even without provinces, let's just quickly compare Elder Kings 1 Vvardenfell to Elder Kings 2 Vvardenfell. The difference is insane. I mean, by God, by Vivek, just look at this. The change in quality that you can see here is visible in basically all locations. The team has taken a look at all of the official and unofficial maps and has oriented themselves on the best sources only. While this is not strictly speaking new content, I want to highlight the entire Iliac Bay. Here you can see absolutely gorgeous terrain inspired by the area maps of Elder Scrolls Online, as well as a truly gorgeous paper map. Whoever made this one was right properly inspired, as it is incredibly artful and even contains such great references as the lost island of Arteum that, as we know thanks to Elder Scrolls Online, is related to the Psijic Order and has thus vanished from its normal location. The detail of the areas that are already mapped is of course absolutely astonishing. Truly, this is more than just the next generation of Elder Kings. It's as though we skipped 10 generations and are living in the future. The team has also begun to add many great works all over the map, such as a restorable adamantine tower and the individual districts of the Imperial City. Now, pretty landscapes are nice and all, but the team has also set up a good amount of starting realms and their start date in the 440th year of the Second Era. Do keep in mind that all of this is of course work in progress. I for one am absolutely hungry to revisit my favorite Elder Kings 1 starting position, the Doreni clan in High Rock. I can't wait to re-establish the Doreni hegemony again. You can also see that a lot of love and thought has already gone into the races of Tamriel, and they already look truly gorgeous. On top of that, you can also see the war that is well underway at the start of the game. It is General Atrebus Sosildor that challenged the last remnants of the Akaviri invasion forces that are still in control of a large part of Cyrodiil. Should Atrebus be successful and win the war, he can decide, and the AI is very likely to do this, to give freedom to the regional lords, as he is indeed not a dragonborn and, because of that, not worthy of the throne of all of Tamriel. Should he do this, the events of the Interregnum will truly unfold, a time period in which there was no empire or order in any part of Tamriel. Now let's move on from the pure map section and talk about religion in Tamriel. It does of course play a massive role and has been reworked to an incredible degree compared to Elder Kings 1. As you can see, there is a huge variety of faiths everywhere now, bringing a level of granularity that we have never seen before in anything that covers the Elder Scrolls series. The standard Pantheon of humanity, for example, so the worship of the 8 divines, has been broken up into regional flavors for the Breton, the Nord, and the Cyrodiilic culture groups. But believe me when I say that there are many more faiths that have already received flavor texts, tenets, doctrines, as well as beautiful symbols. Faith in Elder Kings 2 is something that left me stunned, as it utilizes the CK3 features to a degree that I have not seen before. Let me explain what I mean. There are 3 basic religious groups in Elder Kings 2. Adric, Daedric, and Orbic. The Aedra are of course the grand immortal spirits that created the world, and the word itself means our ancestors, as they gave life to the inhabitants of the world. Then there are the Daedra, who refuse to take part in the creation of the world and instead rule their own little pocket realm. They can, however, every now and again take part in the game of power in Nirn. The word itself of course means not our ancestors, as they were not included in the creation process. And lastly, the Orbic faiths focus on those beliefs that fit neither the Daedric nor the Adric family of beliefs, meaning that some of the Orbic faiths, like the Khajiit faith, feature both Aedra and Daedra, and others, like the faith and the histories of Blackmarsh, feature neither. It is not a hyperbole when I say that there is basically a flavor for anyone in Elder Kings 2, no matter your playthrough. However, it gets significantly better, and do keep in mind that this is still work in progress and might change considerably going forward. Elder Kings 2 utilizes a beautiful patron system in which you can interact with the deities of your faith. The mod differentiates here between active and passive patrons. Active patrons can be found in many shapes, but most of the time are Daedra. Of course, worshipping a Daedra means worshipping a god that actively schemes and plans and can allow you to be more powerful than you would ever imagine. This system is reminiscent of the system that was already present in Elder Kings 1 via the Jade Dragon interface, but it now comes with its very own UI. You can make offerings to a deity, receive minor boosts, or throw Tamriel into absolute darkness by strengthening your Daedric prince enough to launch an invasion. Passive deities, on the other hand, are literally just that. They are incredibly passive. You will be able to pick a personal patron of these if your personal faith allows it, making you the follower of that deity and granting you minor bonuses. Now this is already incredibly neat, but what if I told you that this gets infinitely better by a level of modularity that has not been seen before in any Crusader Kings mod or in vanilla? The team added various ways to fuse and alter Pantheons in faith creation, and it is insane. Let me explain how it currently works while keeping in mind that this is, as mentioned before, of course, just work in progress content. If I were the High King of High Rock and I had consorted with dark powers such as, let's say, Molag Bal, that gave me what I needed to unify all of the Bretons, I might want to go a little bit easier on such dark powers. So what this means is the following. I could alter my faith towards including this Daedra, in this case Molag Bal, in my pantheon by equipping it with a syncretic tenet. Doing this would, regardless of how my faith otherwise feels about Daedra, allow anyone of my faith to worship this Daedra. Alternatively, I could go into my doctrines and set Daedric worship to generally be viewed as acceptable. If I then, for example, were to also accept vampirism, so vampires, I would automatically add Molag Bal to the pantheon of this new faith. We would now, under these circumstances, worship the 8 divines as well as Molag Bal. This is just one of the possible combinations, but it frankly is utterly incredible to me. If you were to select the Tenet Ritual Nightmares, you would also be praising Vermina. If you were to select the Tenet Ritual Hunts, you would also be adding Hircine to your pantheon. On the other hand, if you were to select Radical Detachment, Sheogorath would be in your new pantheon. This is magic. Elder Kings 1 was already very ambitious in its depiction of the many faiths of Nirn, but this is an entirely different wheelhouse. You can mix and match as you feel like it. The customizability that the team is leaving to the player is absolutely insane. And again, remember, this is all work in progress. Who knows what this system will look like on release? I personally am rather excited. Now there is much more that could be said about faiths and their variety, as well as the ambitious systems the Elder Kings 2 team is putting into the mod in general, but for now, let's move on to another pivotal topic: culture. General cultural variety has increased hugely between Elder Kings 1 and 2, as you can see, but of course none of that would mean anything if they were all the same even then. So let's take a look at a scenario here. Nothing, to me personally, was more annoying in Elder Kings 1 than you building a Tamrielic empire and noticing rather quickly that the Eldmer lords that you put in control in Valenwood had completely eradicated the Bosmers, basically wiping them from the map. This is, of course, not at all how it works in the universe of the Elder Scrolls, and this will no longer be the case in Elder Kings 2, with the help of an extraordinary system that goes by the name of Nativity regions. Let's explain it with the example of cultures in High Rock. The Glenumbrians are native only to the region of Glenumbria that is highlighted here on the map. Spreading this culture in this region will be quite speedy, as your settlers and the old inhabitants likely already have a shared history. However, should you reach a territory that is outside of Glenumbra, Glenumbrian spread would crawl to basically a standstill, as this is outside of this culture's nativity zone. What you can do, on the other hand, is spreading a local culture of your culture group. So for example, the Belfieri elves in Kogria live in the nativity zone of Stormhaven. If we wanted to pacify this region, we could settle our own culture, which would take almost 3 centuries, or we could settle the native culture of the Iliac or the Bjul people. Both of these cultures are Bretons, just like us, although they do differ in certain ways. Now, if there is no culture that belongs to your culture group and is native to this region, you will either have to spread your culture very slowly, or, for example, let local rulers of the region's culture and faith rule these lands, preserving the unique and variety-rich state of Tamriel. For example, if a Breton ruler were to conquer parts of Hammerfell, it would be wise to let Redguards rule over their own to avoid rebellions. After all, it is easier to make one vassal happy compared to making thousands of illiterate peasants happy. But wait, there is more. In some cases, you can also bring back lost cultures of your culture group that once inhabited newly conquered regions. A good example for this is quick to find with the Durrani clan. They are the last elves in this region, of course, but a long time ago there were many more. While the Durrani clan's unique culture, that is called Balfieri, can spread quickly within the region of Glenumbra, they struggle to establish themselves for long in Hammerfell. However, under the right circumstances, you can raise up the Corellania culture. The Corellania clan lived in many coastal areas of Hammerfell until, well, the hammer fell, and the Red Guards arrived, massacring them all. An astute ruler could, most certainly, dig up old manuscripts that describe the rites, languages and culture of a dead clan like this, leading to a revival in the area. Reviving, for example, the Corellania will give you a culture in your culture group that is native to 2 regions of Hammerfell, giving you a distinct advantage when it comes to successfully ruling your lands, and in the process will transform the very face of the lands that you now own. There are many other lost cultures such as the Aelids and some variations of the Nates, so the early human folk. These can be brought back by their surviving cousins. This is to me an extraordinarily exciting concept. It matches the spirit of the Elder Scrolls series by maintaining the unique makeup of the provinces of Tamriel while still allowing you to change the face of the world if you move the right levers. On top of that, of course, you can also already see some of the unique regional and culture unique innovations that will make it into the mod, but let's not talk too much about them right now. Now, there is still something else to report on here today, and yeah, I know that we've already talked about a boatload of new content, as well as so many cool mechanics coming from the amazing Elder Kings 2 team, but I would regret it if I couldn't give you some more flavor to enjoy. The team has rethought the concept of raiding in CK3, for example. Instead of locking it exclusively behind an innovation or your government form, they have instead added a focus tree within the martial lifestyle that will allow you to raid overseas, and gain more from raiding in general as you go to signify the tremendous increase in prowess and skill when it comes to raiding. This tree is rather powerful and will allow you and the AI to play the cutthroat plundering sons of guns that you all know you are, if it fits your character. As another tidbit, the team has also implemented an interface part that lets you know about the current states of the moon, as well as what the current birth sign constellation is for any newborn character at this time. How will the moon phases be relevant? Well, you know what, we'll find about that in time, I'm certain. And then, on top of that, if you were to be an adherent of the Dragon Cult faith, you can, well, do this. By Azora. This will be a wild mod. As you can see, they are also working on a German localization, and I will be honest with you, if you speak no German whatsoever, this will probably make your experience all the more magical. Solitude becomes Einsamkeit, Skyrim becomes Himmelsrand, and Wayrest becomes Wegesruh. In all earnest, it does sound more magical. And speaking of magic, let's take a quick look at the magic interface that is currently implemented into the mod. Gone are the days during which you had to go through a list that was about 3 kilometers long. Now you have a very cute interface that lets you choose how you want to harm your enemies in style or help your friends. This system will make playing a mage character a lot less of a chore and instead give you freedom to do whatever you want to do. Now, I want to keep all of this rather short because I'm certain that we will see greater details as we move further into the development cycle of Elder Kings 3. For now, let me know what you think about what you have seen in this video in the comments. Also, make sure to join the Elder Kings Discord and support them as an artist if you are one. For the moment, I would simply like to say thank you to the Elder Kings 2 team for making this video possible and for their outstanding work. Now beyond that, I simply want to thank the members of the channel, and as always, of course, the Barons, the Counts and the Dukes. Thank you to all of you, you absolutely amazing sons of guns. Later, alligator.